Oh, baby. Okay. That's the update we're gonna get. All right, I see how this is going. I get it. This came out earlier today. Like, way earlier today, this morning, but I already had the show lined up, and I was like, okay, we're not going to move what I want, we're not going to move the Caulfield news, so let's just wait until later in the afternoon to make this video and go over to Columbus Blue Jackets, because we have ourselves some word as to where they could be going in terms of their coaching situation. We have a few tweets to go over, and it starts out here with Aaron Portzline on The Athletic. He tweeted this out earlier this morning. The Blue Jackets are taking longer than they wanted or anticipated to hire a coach. But the delay this week is not due simply to their own deliberations. Something, or someone, is holding up the process. It'll be fascinating to see this unfold, hopefully soon. Darren Dreger then responded to this tweet saying this: speculation around the Memorial Cup is that Mike Babcock will return to the NHL as the Blue Jackets' next head coach, and the delay in announcing coincides with his existing contract with the Maple Leafs expiring at the end of this month. Now, month as in June, so we have to wait until the start of July for the Blue Jackets to be able to announce that Mike Babcock, of all people, is going to be their next head coach? Furthermore, we had ourselves Pierre LeBrun say this, further to Darren Dreger's report: the Leafs still owe Mike Babcock through June 30th. The plan is for the Blue Jackets to finalize his hiring after that. Okay, so that's exactly what I said. All right, great. Sounds like Babcock has been Jarmo Kekalainen's choice for a bit. And that's all we need to go out there and talk about, because when it comes to Mike Babcock, of all people, this is the guy that, after the way his Toronto stint ended, and after all the news that came out about how he treated the players on the Toronto Maple Leafs, I don't really know if anybody thought he'd be getting an NHL job anytime soon after that. Not because he's a bad coach, we know he's a pretty alright coach. But when it comes to the way he treats people, this was always the kicker. The days in Detroit, the Johan Franzen nightmare stories that we had seen. Just for reference on that, I pulled up the Reddit thread here. This is what Johan Franzen said with Expressen, Swedish news outlet, that Babcock is a great coach, but he's a terrible person. The worst I ever met. He's a bully who is attacking people. It could be a cleaner at the arena in Detroit or anybody. He would lay into people without any reason. You also have the way he treats other players. He sat Spezza for his first game as a Leaf against Ottawa, Mike Modano at 14.99 games, and Babcock scratches him for the final game of the year. And then, of course, the Mitch Marner thing. Oh, rate your teammates in terms of who works hard, and then he presents that list in front of the entire team. Mike Babcock and the way he has done his personal human relations, it's been very sus. But you can't deny that when it comes to his coaching ability, there's a reason the guy's got Stanley Cups, and there's a reason why the guy stuck around for as long as he did. You could debate that towards the end of his coaching tenure with the Leafs, he wasn't even that great of a coach because of the way he would deploy Matthews in that Game 7, and I mean, look, Boston, 2019, I believe it was, that was not really the best showcase of coaching for Babcock, but at the same time, one 7-game series isn't indicative of his entire style. Still, though, when it comes to Columbus, the main thing that I'm thinking about is Johnny Gaudreau, to be honest. Mostly because Johnny Gaudreau went from a system in Calgary where he was under another hard-ass coach in Daryl Sutter over to a system in Columbus where he would presumably be under a little bit less pressure to perform and actually do what it is that Johnny Gaudreau is capable of doing, only for this team to get Mike Babcock a year later. From Daryl Sutter to Mike Babcock. Imagine Johnny Gaudreau and the way he feels after being locked up for 7 years, to this new team, and having Babcock as the guy to be his next coach. I don't know how that feels, man. Like, I don't know how the rest of that team is going to feel. I don't know what the expectations are going to be, because Mike Babcock is coming over to a team that literally finished at the bottom of the league this previous season. They're probably going to do a bit better. Like, it wouldn't be out of the question to see the Blue Jackets maybe jump from third or second last to maybe 8th last. 9th last in the NHL. They're a top 25 team in the National Hockey League. And having Babcock as the head coach in that scenario, I don't really know how it's going to work out. I know he was in Toronto for a while when they were in the bad Matthews days, but Still, would Babcock be interested in going through that again? And plus, this isn't Toronto, this is Columbus. He doesn't have that much of a spotlight on him in Columbus versus when he was the Maple Leafs guy. Would that make him a little bit more eased into the job? Would that make him a little bit more comfortable to start doing things his own way? Would he be under less of a microscope? And if that's the case, would that make him a little bit more harsh to play for? I don't know, a lot of questions are coming up here with Mike Babcock being the guy for Columbus, but I mean, we're going to have this conversation for a long time, right? It's a month left until he's able to be announced as the hired coach of the Blue Jackets because of that contract situation with the Maple Leafs. And, you know, also, I talked about Johnny Gaudreau, right? How he went from Sutter to Babcock. You know who else I'm thinking about right now? Patrik Laine. Ooh, boy. Oh, that guy. Ooh. When it comes to goal scorers that aren't necessarily the most two-way, that are very dynamic when they want to be, but they aren't always like that, Patrik Laine is a guy that I think may get the absolute worst of it if he goes through one of those slumps while Babcock is at the head of the chair. I feel like this could be a really bad matchup, really terrible clash of personalities because, I mean, at the very least, Johnny Gaudreau was able to produce and consistently be there. Patrik Laine has had these streaks for a while now where he completely disappears, he's good sometimes, he's good other times. He always has good numbers at the end of the season, but when it comes to the ceiling that Laine has, everybody kind of knows that we have the capacity to see more. He has the capacity to perform better. And part of me is sort of thinking, okay, with the idea that Patrick Waugh, of all people, may also be involved in this coaching process. We saw the rumors for him, Sergei Fedorov, and now we're talking about Babcock. Maybe this really is just the direction that Jarmo wants to go down for his team. We want hard-nosed coaches that are going to hold these players accountable, maybe to an extreme extent, and make it so that nobody gets away with anything. Nobody gets away with taking a shift off. Nobody gets away with not carrying their weight. That was a formula that worked with Tortorella. They beat Tampa Bay in the finals. Not the finals, excuse me. My goodness. In the first round. Tortorella was the guy, and they liked that system, so they want to go back to somebody who exhibits similar qualities, whether that's Patrick Waugh and his super outrageous aggressive tendencies, or Mike Babcock, who has himself his own set of idiosyncrasies that make him a very unique coach. And I say unique in the worst way possible. So you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What are your opinions about Babcock coming over to Columbus? This is going to be the guy. And according to LeBron Drager, this is going to happen. We just have to wait a month for the hiring to be announced. Do you think this is going to bode well with Johnny Gaudreau? Do you think this is going to bode well with Patrik Laine? What are your opinions on how this relationship is going to evolve? And do you think Mike Babcock can be the guy to pull the best out of Patrik Laine and say, hey, I worked with Austin Matthews for years. That guy's a superstar. I can do the same for you. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this Juraj 9, and bye.